Hello, my name is Gabe Heyer, and today I'm going to be discussing my research relating to empirical aging models for lithium-ion cells. I completed this work with Dr. Guznak, Dr. Jarpino, and Dr. Rizzoni. The first question we should ask is why lithium-ion cells? And the first reason is that lithium-ion cells are compatible with renewable energy sources, which make them very relevant. In addition to this, lithium-ion cells are also used for a number of large applications, including electric vehicles and hybrid electric aircraft, like you see here. One major challenge when using lithium-ion cells is that they degrade both with time and with use, and this can have detrimental effects on the aforementioned applications. Aging is observed in two main effects. These are capacity fade, which is a reduction in the capacity of the cell, and power fade, which is a reduction in the power the cell can output. In addition to this, aging occurs in two main modes. Those are calendar aging, which is a result of both time and storage, and cycling aging, which is due to the use of the cell. There are also several factors which influence aging. Those are temperature, state of charge, which is the percent remaining capacity of the cell, depth of discharge, which is the state of charge range over which the cell operates, current magnitude, and the cathode material used for the cell. There are two main modeling approaches when looking at aging. The first one are empirical and semi-empirical approaches, and these use regression to connect the causes discussed on the previous slide to the capacity and the power fade of the cell. The second approach are physics-based models, and these look to describe specific degradation mechanisms which occur within the cell. The table below compares these two different approaches in a case study. Looking at the first column, we can see the main benefit of physics-based models, and that is that they offer significantly lower error compared to empirical and semi-empirical models. And this is because they're modeling exactly what is occurring within the cell. However, these come at the drawback of a significantly increased computational time, which is why empirical and semi-empirical models are generally used for system-level design now. Here's one of the main empirical aging models that are used today. And you can see that this is a capacity fade model, which captures the effects of both calendar and cycling aging. And this model does generally give good results. However, one of the main drawbacks of this model is also immediately clear, and that is that it's both complex to understand and complex to calibrate. Just looking at calendar aging, we can see that this includes an exponential inside of an integral inside of another exponential. So understanding what is happening here is complicated and calibration is complicated. And this ties in nicely to our objective, which is to propose an empirical aging model, which is informed by existing models, captures both calendar and cycling aging, and offers a straightforward calibration procedure. Here's the proposed model, and this draws from existing aging models in several ways. First, it assumes an additive combination of calendar and cycling aging, as you can see in the first equation. Next, it uses t to the z time dependence, where z is a calibration parameter, for both calendar and cycling aging. In addition, cycling aging uses the magnitude of the current times t to the z, which is approximately equal to the ampere-hour throughput of the cell raised to z for z close to 1. And this cycling dependence has been used in literature. In addition to this, both the calendar and cycling portions of the model include an Arrhenius temperature dependence. All of the calibration was performed using the fmin search MATLAB command. In addition, two aging data sets were used. The first one included an NMC cathode, and this included both calendar and cycling aging. The next one used an LFP cathode, and this only included cycling aging data. For the NMC calibration, first, the functional form of the KSEI parameter was identified, and this was then used to calibrate the overall capacity fade due to calendar aging. The calendar aging contribution could then be subtracted from the cycling data, and this was used to calibrate or find the functional form of KAM, which was then used to calibrate the cycling portion of the model. For the LFP model, as we mentioned earlier, there was no calendar aging data in the data set. So the assumption was made that QCal was approximately equal to 0, or the majority of aging occurred due to cycling. So similarly, we can identify the functional form of KAM and use this to calculate Q cycling. Moving on to the results. Here are the calendar results for the NMC model. The first thing we can notice is the functional form identified for KSEI, and this includes an exponential dependence on state of charge and a linear dependence on temperature. The two plots on the left show the calibration results for the model, and these were at 30% state of charge and 100% state of charge. And then on the right, we can see the validation results for the model at 65% state of charge. Across both the calibration and validation data, we see good alignment between the model and the data. Moving on to the cycling results, we see the calibration results on the left and then the validation results on the right. Now, one assumption that was made here is that KAM was constant, and this was due to the relatively small size of this data set. The specific contribution of depth of discharge was not clear on KAM. You can see some error in the validation results, though this is a reasonable magnitude for an empirical aging model. Moving on to the LFP cycling results, we see that KAM was again identified as a constant and QCal was assumed to be 0 over on the right. The top plot shows the calibration results, and we see generally good alignment between the model and the data. Moving down, we also see the validation results. We do see more error here, and this is likely a result of the assumption that there is no calendar aging. In conclusion, this work proposed an empirical aging model with a straightforward calibration procedure for both calendar and cycling aging. The best results were achieved when calendar and cycling data were available for calibration, and this was on the NMC dataset. However, the model did also offer order of magnitude results for the LFP dataset with only cycling data. In terms of future work, first would be validation on additional cathode materials, in addition to further investigation of the functional form of KAM, preferably with a larger aging dataset. I've included all of the references here if you would like to explore these further, and thank you for your time.